All right, hello everybody. So I'm Rebecca Guevara. I'm the instructor for your course. So what you are taking is college algebra with a co-requisite. So that's technically two classes that we smash into one class. So I'm sorry for getting this video late. I recorded it. This is my third time, and something went wrong with the first two recordings. So hopefully this one's going to work for us. But give me a second here, and I will get us to our course. All right, so from your dashboard, you should see a course that looks like this. It's going to be yellow background. It says College Algebra Co-requisite online course. So that will be your class. Actually, I'm not sure I'm telling you that because you had to click on it to get this far. So this is your home page. So I'm going to change the view on this in a little second. If viewed as a student, you're going to have less stuff here along the side. All right. So there we go. So as I told you, my name is Rebecca Guevara. There is going to be another person in this course that's going to be making some is going to be posting into it too. So it's not just your instructor. I wasn't sure how this is going to work. So we have something called SI leader. And because this class has this co-requisite part, what we have is like a supplemental instruction that goes with that. So unless something changes, that is going to be Stacy. And then the other thing to add on here, so this is in the syllabus, it's not on here. These are my student hours. So just to explain this, because usually people get this confused, you are not required to come see me or do virtual hours, anything like that, because this is a fully online course. These are hours that I am available if you get stuck on something or if you have a question. So these times, these are when I'm in my office, and my office is in Biloxi. So if you happen to be on campus and you have a question, these are times you can catch me. I always tell everybody, I try to be to my office on time, but just so you know, like we had this Monday and Wednesday. I have a class before that and a class after that. So if there's somebody who holds me over from class, it may be that I'm not going to be there exactly at 10 a.m. I'm going to do my best to get there, but that's always something that could happen. Same thing with Tuesdays, Thursdays. So I'm going to get there at 9, hopefully a little before 9, but I don't know how traffic's going to be. So if you get there and I'm not there right at exactly the time my office hours started, or sorry, my student hours started, then, just usually wait around a few minutes. Or if you need to, like, send me an email, let me know you were trying to meet with me. And like I said, things happen. Try not to let them happen, but usually I'm there. The other thing is that if my office door is open, that means I'm around. So I might be like down the hall talking to somebody, or I might have went and got some water from the kitchen or something like that. I usually have people show up the minute I walk out of my office to go get something like water. That's what I wanted to say that. I am there if the office door is open though. Anyways, like I said, those are hours that I'm physically in my office. These virtual hours, these are hours. Circle this. This is a time frame that I'm setting aside, so I'm actually be home when I do these hours. So I'm going to try to book it and make sure I get there in time. But this is some time when I get home that you guys, if you have a problem, have some sort of problem, but you can't be physically on campus, or those times that I am on campus, you can't get a hold of me. This is a time that you could try to schedule an appointment. So the virtual hours, like I said, this is time I'm setting aside. If during these times I'm in my office, you want to meet me virtually, that is also fine. I just need you to send me an email because I'm not going to have like open Zoom at any point. This is just a time frame where I'm telling you I am available and that we can meet over Zoom. But like I said, you kind of have to email me first, and you don't want to do it last minute either. This is a fully 16-week online course, so this will go run an entire semester. So if we go to start here, it takes you to this welcome module. I'll tell you, most of this welcome module you probably don't need. But like I said, it's just telling you, because like I said, we're two courses in one. So how we have it set up is that It used to be when you were considered not college ready, that you would had to take, you'd end up taking something like intermediate algebra first, then you could take the college level college algebra. And that's changed over years. Instead of doing that, what we do is we co-req, which means you have to take the co-requisite material for college algebra at the same time. So instead of making you take a whole separate course, we basically take college algebra and we add a little bit onto it. So we add a little bit of review sessions. So a lot of people end up having to take this course with the review sessions. So it's pretty common. I think 60% of people who come into college, that was the last I saw the statistic, were not college ready in math. So this is pretty common. And usually what it is like there's just something in here that you just need to review. I usually find most of the stuff people have mostly seen it. There's a few things they haven't seen. But like I said, it's really just a review of certain topics. And actually those topics would be right here. So like I said, a lot of this stuff will probably seem like things that you've seen before, and some of it will be a little bit new, but that's what we're trying to do, is fill in those places where you're missing some knowledge. So then you could be successful in the more important part of the course, which is this part that is our college algebra material. So this is the stuff that's really important that we cover. So this takes you everything. So meet your instructor. So just a little bit about me on there. If you want to see your textbook, tells you what your textbook is. Course schedules in there. Probably if you're in an online class, you already know about this. So if you don't know what the requirements for the course are, just a second. This is a no-free, a zero-credit mini course to help you understand how to be successful in an online course, so you're automatically enrolled in that. So this is just information about that. As one thing you may actually want to look at in here, a lot of this is in the syllabus, and there's this BioSign ID instruction. So it comes from Leave accreditation that we want to make sure that whoever is in a online class is actually in that online class. So basically it's just kind of a way to prove that you are you. So we have this biometric signature we want you to do. So I'm going to kind of walk through how we do this biometric signature, if I can get it to work, or otherwise I'll just give you an idea how it works. It's always a pain when I'm trying to show it. But like I said, you have this biometric signature that you are going to make. So it's going to be like it's a 4-number pin, and you have to write it with a mouse or a stylus or something like that. And then you use that pretty much every module just to say it is you actually opening that module. All right, let me go back here just quickly, see, make sure I didn't miss something. Class. Okay. Most of the stuff you're going to end up finding anyway. All right, so you'll see on the side here, we have modules, we have discussions, we have course syllabus, Alamo books. I'm not even sure if a book's in there yet. Last I checked, it was not. But modules is what we're going to be looking at here soon. But just before we do that, I just want to go over course syllabus. So a lot of information that was in that little course introduction module, that's actually in your course syllabus. All right, so once again, you have my office hours, my student hours, my email. Preferred method of contact is through email because that's usually just easier for me to see. If you try calling me or something, I'm more likely to miss that because I don't always check my phone because I don't get calls that often. Okay, so this is your book. So you shouldn't have a physical copy. You're going to have an e-copy of your book. And one of the things that gets purchased through your tuition is your My Math Lab code. So I don't believe you have to put the code in. I think it'll just automatically put you into My Math Lab. And then still have that typo in there. I have to fix that again. I have some typos there. Every time I correct them, they don't save. Scientific calculator. You probably want to have one of those. I would recommend like a TI-30 would work. A TI-36 would work as well. I think a TI-30 is just a little more user-friendly. Also, there are phone apps and computer. So phone apps, website, you can find either one of these, but it's Desmos, and most people, if you've about high school in the last few years, I've seen Desmos. So Desmos has two different calculators. There is a scientific. I would recommend getting that scientific. The graphing is also useful. It's just not as necessary. So I use the graphing sometimes in class or in videos just to show you how a function behaves. You will not have to do that as much. So I would suggest that scientific one if you can't get a TI 30 or a 36. If you're online and you're not worried about going to the testing center, then the Desmos scientific calculator should be just fine. And these are just, this stuff here is just recommendations. 3-ring binder, make sure you keep all your stuff organized. You want to make sure you have some paper, graphing paper, pens and pencils. Okay, so this class, I'm going to do a little bouncing here in a second. So over here you see modules. I just clicked on that. So this is what you're going to see. And I'm going to go back to what this breakdown is. So when you look at your course and your modules, you have your orientation module, which you can always click on this and close it down. These are student resources. There's a discussion board. And one of the things you will need is this MyMathLab students resources. The tutoring and the SI, that's our SI leader. If we do have an SI leader, I think we're going to have Stacy. Then that is something for you to look at as well. I just left that there for now. But this here, this is going to be your homework. So we're going to come back to this in a minute. And then this is your module. So let me do some explaining here, going back and forth between the syllabus and your modules. So that biosig that I was telling you about, you have to sign in. That's right, it's not going to let me do it in student mode. Leave student view. So what you're going to do is enroll whatever device it is that you're going to be signing in with. So it could be a mouse, it could be the touchpad on your laptop. I have a stylus hooked to a writing pad, so that is what I use. So make sure that you click what you're going to use. Because if you don't, then you try to sign in and it's going to reject your signature. Okay, let me go back to my modules. So what you should see, let me go back to student mode. So when you click on the first time, it's going to put you through some, it's going to walk you through setting up this pin that you're going to have. So it's going to have you write the pin 3 times, and then it's going to have like this keyboard come up, and then you have to like use your mouse and click on your pin again on that keyboard. I'm not sure what that part does. But like I said, it's just to establish this pin so you can get into your homework. So this seems to be working okay so far. This was a new way to set it up. So the idea of this biosig is it's not supposed to just sit there for no reason. So I have it attached to your module. So you actually cannot access the actual work in your module until you do this biosig. So if that becomes a problem, just send me emails. Because like I said, this is a new way to set it up. So far, it seems to work out okay. All right, leave student view. Just the other thing to mention here, I have to get out of student view because it won't let me do it otherwise because I'm not a student, so I can't use a student signature. So just the other thing I just wanted to mention here is, because this happened to me because I signed in, I used my mouse originally to sign this in, and then I tried to switch to a stylus, and then it wouldn't recognize me. So be careful of that. The other part of this is that if you put in your PIN 3 times, then it's going to ask you to send a code. You go to your email and try to basically request a new password. You can just go and just refresh the whole page, and then you get 3 chances again. Just to put that out there. So if you just want to try again, that's one way to do it. Okay. So what your module should look like is everything's going to be open after that. I have to go into teacher mode to make this happen, so it looks a little different. So you're going to see more stuff on here. Student view works great, except for the part where it doesn't recognize you for not being a student. Okay, so let me go back and forth here. So you're going to have a worksheet submission. then that's going to be 5% of your grade. So basically what this part is this is like your attendance. It says that you came to class, you attended class, you listened to your lesson, you took notes. So as you notice, I say under module content. So for that first module, so I list the starting dates on them, but you're going to have one once a week. For this first module, if you go to module content, you're going to see my PowerPoint notes. You do not have to open those or download those. Those are just there if you want them. What you will need is this handout. So you can hit download and then download this whole handout, and then you can print it. But what it's going to have is, I put the section on here, and so sometimes they're going to be a little funky, so the numbering got off at one point when I was making these last semester. Oops, there you go. So it's going to have 8 questions numbered 1 through 3, and for the most part, they're numbered okay. I think there's a few places where I accidentally missed something, they're misnumbered. But what you're going to do is just follow along with this. It's going to go with the videos. Oops. Here, module content. So after you get that downloaded, you have these videos, so you can watch the video, and there's a spot in the video where you can stop and fill in this worksheet. So part of the reason for this is, like I said, it's a way of saying that you were attending class in an online class, because once you do these submissions and you submit them, or do these worksheets and submit them, it gets counted as part of your attendance. Also, because you're online, I still want you to keep up those note-taking skills. That's something we don't want to like die off, because if you end up once again a face-to-face class, you still need those note-taking skills. I'm sorry, my nose is a little stuffy right now. Just a second. Okay, we'll go back. Canvas is not my favorite of the learning management systems. But as I said, so that's all in that module content. And then you'll see here, worksheet submission. So after you fill in that worksheet, you just go in here and you can submit it. So there is a helpful resource telling you how to submit assignments. So what you'll end up doing is either you can take pictures of your assignment, or you could scan it. So that being said, when you download those handouts, it'd be preferable that you could print them and scan them, but I know that's not always possible. So I've had people like put them into Adobe and write on them. I've also had sometimes people will just take out a piece of paper, just write the problem number down, and then write down the work. If that's what you have to do, if that's what the resources you have available are, that is fine. And like I said, scanning them is better because I could see those a little easier, but if you need to, you can always take pictures with your phone and upload those as well. So we have discussion boards. So let me go back here again. We should stop going to the top. Close this down. Okay. So discussions. So the worksheets, they're credit, no credit. You just, if you fill in the work, you fill in the problems and you show the work and you submit it, you get credit. Same thing with discussion boards. If you answer the question and then always respond to one other classmate, you're going to get credit. So that's another 5% just from those discussion boards. Okay, for a second I thought something was missing there. Then you're going to have homework. So homework is going to be through My Math Lab. So that's why we have this My Math Lab resources here. So as you see in here, in your module, I put everything in your module to make this easier. So you have your discussion boards, you have your worksheet submission. Then right here, you just end up finding homework. So if you go through this, you'll basically find everything. So it's going to look like this, and you're going to have this button here. It says load. If you click on it, it'll take you directly to the homework in My Math Lab. Okay. So that's one way you can get to homework. The other way you can do it is if you look up, we have My Math Lab student resources. This is the course home. It's there. I wouldn't say that's the best place to go. And then you see all assignments. So once again, it's always going to ask you to click to go direct to a new window because it's just the way that My Math Lab works. And once again, you see all your assignments and any quizzes that you have. And along the side, you will also see the due dates. This here will tell you the time, if like there's a time limit, like we do on the quizzes, how many attempts you may have, which you only have on the quizzes, and then you'll see a grade here. And that grade's going to be reflected in the grade book. Okay, and then this My Math Lab grade book is different than the grade book we have over here. This one that we have here in Canvas, this is your actual grade book. The one for My Math Lab only it's only keeping track of your homework and your quizzes. Okay, so I'm going to come back to these student resources here in a bit when we talk about the book. Quizzes are once again going to also be in My Math Lab. So both your homework and your quizzes are going to be due 2 Fridays after the module begins. So for everything that we do this week, this first week will be due to the 31st. And that's just homework and quizzes. Worksheet submissions, discussion boards, those are due Sundays. Because this is the stuff that's just saying that I was present for the week. And this is your homework that you have past that week to work on. Exams, so we'll have 3 exams that are going to cover about 3 or 4 weeks of material that came prior to it. What was I? So the exams are going to be open for about 5 days that you're going to have to get in there and take the exam online. So I'm not really going to be looking to give you extra time on these exams or makeups because you'll have this 5-day window. I would suggest not waiting until the last minute to take your exam. You don't have to take it the first day, but I'd suggest you not waiting to the very last day unless you absolutely have to, because then you have to prove to me why you had a good reason that you didn't take your exam. Because it's not like, you know, I got sick this one day and I couldn't take the exam. You had to be out 5 days, and you have to have a good reason that you were out for 5 days and unable to access anything online. I do not offer makeups until like the very end of the semester. I offer a way to kind of improve an exam grade. And usually I have something that involves your final exam, but I like to wait to see how we're doing towards the end of the semester before I tell you decide how we're going to help improve those exam grades. So part of the reason I wait to the very end of the semester is that in my experience, if you bomb an exam, giving you another chance at it within the first week is not really that helpful because you need more time to learn that material, which is why I wait to the end of the semester, because I want to give you time to actually get that material down and learn it. So you have a chance at the end to go, yes, I did learn that material. A final exam, this is going to be given during final exam week, so you have a whole month. I don't think the schedule is actually going to be announced. We know exactly what it is this time. The final exam will be comprehensive, means it's going to cover everything in the course. Questions could come from any topic in the course, and usually part of it is going to come from your first 3 exams. Fortunately, there's no way to be able to do makeups on this, because once that week closes, that is actually the end of the semester is when the exam is going to close. So after that, unless you have a really good excuse and you can, you know, get yourself an extension or something like that, it's pretty much the semester has ended, and I have all the material that you can turn in, and I have to start getting everything graded by, I think, in 2 days. Okay, so grading scale. Everything here is considered passing for the most part. If you're like in a special program like nursing, you might have, I believe nursing has a higher standard than this. So certain programs have a higher standard than a D or above is passing. So this is all considered passing, but just to like to make this point, if you plan on transferring, Ds don't usually transfer. Some colleges do accept Ds, not good ones, but some do accept Ds. If you're trying to go into like a university, you probably want to make sure you have Cs or higher. And once again, it depends on the school. They may have different, like if you go out of state, I'm less likely to know what they're going to want from you. Usually, if you're in Texas, though, A, Bs, and Cs will usually transfer. If you have a D, technically you pass at NLC or for Alamo colleges. However, you'll probably end up having to retake that course if you transfer. So course expectations, watch those videos and fill out that handout and submit it because that's going to be considered your weekly attendance. That what tells me that you're attending class. So I'm going to record it. I'm not going to hunt through everything to make sure you submitted something that week. I'm going to base it off of that submission. You are expected to respond to discussion boards. You will be assigned homework in My Math Lab each week, and you're expected to get done by the due date. Otherwise, there's a grading penalty after that, which I forgot to mention. Yeah, so the My Math Lab assignments have a 2% grading penalty after the due date. So you still could go back and work on it, but it's going to take 2% off of the final grade. If you wait one day, like if you wait a whole week, or you wait 5 days, then you actually lose 10% of your grade. So it gives you a little bit of wiggle room if you couldn't get it in right away. Yeah, just to mention that. So if you don't get things done by the due date, there is a grading penalty. I try to encourage you to work with classmates, which is why we have the discussion boards to try to get you guys to know each other and talk to each other. Because having other students is one of your greatest resources because we all come in with a different way of understanding material and different strengths. And having somebody else to bounce ideas off of and talk to is a good way to learn material. I got through several classes, especially in grad school, by having other people to talk to because they would perceive it a little differently than I did. And kind of together, we kind of get a fully rounded view of the topics that we were learning. If you miss a week of class, please just contact me and let me know what's going on. If you didn't get anything in, and I just kind of like to know what's keeping you out for an entire week because if this is something that keeps being a problem, we need to start discussing a way that we can discussing what we can do to help you so you're still successful in the course. Please just be respectful to other people, especially like in discussion boards. Please don't get in fights in discussion board. I haven't had that happen yet, but you never know. Assignments will not be accepted after the final exam day because after the final exam, the course is closed. I cannot accept any work at that point. Exams must be completed in the designated window. If you can't, I may ask you for some sort of proof to give you an extension. Because like I said, you have 5 days. You have to have some really good reason that you couldn't get in there. Which I know sometimes things happen. I've had somebody got deployed and they couldn't take the exam because they were being deployed during the week of the exam. So stuff does happen. I just like you just kind of talk to me about it. And if you can't provide some sort of proof, usually I'm pretty nice about it. If you don't have anything to prove to me, like something you can actually give me, I'm not going to ask you for medical records. It's not okay. If you tell me that you were at the doctor's and you're hospitalized or something, you don't have to give me the doctor said this is what I was hospitalized for or anything like that. If you could find something that just says I was in the hospital, that would be fine. I like to put that out there because people always give me too much medical information. And I don't need it. Like I said, even if you don't have proof, I could still grant you an extension. Like I said, that's where this whole starting to talk to me when you start missing class thing comes in handy because if by a time of an exam and you miss for some reason, I kind of know what's going on at that point. I'm not going to change due dates for individuals. So if you don't get your assignment done, that's on you. However, if the entire class is having an issue, I may extend that due date. Because of things happen. There was the ATT outage at one point, really messed up due dates and nobody can get their assignments in. Stuff happens. So we'll adjust for that. Makeups for exams. I think I put this in here twice for some reason. Just make sure you give me some sort of really good valid excuse. Obviously I left this in from face-to-face classes, but I can see how car trouble could stop you. If you have illness, you have sick kids, you have your kids are running around, you don't have childcare for them. These are things I could see can make could cause a problem with making for missing an exam. So just let me know what's going on. And like I said, if you can, proof. It's hard to give me proof that, your kids are sick, but some policies may be waived with students' accommodations, and that's probably be like due dates or time on exams and quizzes. And please be respectful to others in your class. So I have your calendar with a list of topics. I also put in here the days the college is closed, just so you know. So if you try to get a hold of me these days or in this time period, I might not be available because the college is closed, which means that technically I have that day off too. That doesn't mean like during spring break. So just to put this out, I will not assign anything during spring break. That doesn't mean something won't be due during spring break. I also put in the times to your exams and then what they're expected to cover and then all your quizzes. All right. So going back to the module here, once you go through this entire module, like if you started right at the beginning, you could just click your entire way through this whole module. And you do your biosig, you have your discussion board, you have your submission for your worksheet, you'd have your assignments come up in here. I forgot this one has 3 of them. Your quiz, and then you should see one that says wrap up. That means you hit the end of the module. So if you go to next, it starts you to the next module. So a lot of these pages I'll be able to get up ahead, modules I'll be able to get up ahead of time for you. I just had to surprise them an extra online class I had to set up. Okay, so book. So under My Math Lab's student resources, if you need to find your book, right there is My Math Lab Pearson e-text. And this takes forever to load, so let me pause this a second. Okay, that loaded a little faster than usual. So like I said, it sometimes takes a bit for this to load. So usually it always starts out on chapter 1. I'm not sure why. But if you go here to table of contents, you can go to other chapters. So the reason that our first homework assignments say review is because they come from the review chapter. So you can go in here and click on the chapters. Down here, you can move to the next page. If you wanted to bookmark a page, you just hit here, add bookmark. So then you go up here, you'd find it in your bookmarks. Videos related to this section. This doesn't always seem to link up very well, so I'm not sure how they do this. Because I've like clicked sections and then go through and look at the videos just so you know about this. And they don't always match up to what the section is. So another way that you can find extra videos if you wanted them is if you go back here. There's this multimedia library. So I left that in there for you as well. You could go in here and pick whatever section is you're interested in, and there's videos right here. There's also some other things, but you can hit videos and then it can find some videos from that section. So if my videos aren't doing it for you, you have these additional videos to look at. Okay. So just a few quick things to mention here. So let me get this top. Canvas and My Math Lab don't always want to communicate very well with each other. So sometimes what you'll see is your grades in your grade book are being, especially with the homework and the quizzes, are syncing from Canvas. And sometimes they don't sync right away. So if you do something in My Math Lab and it doesn't show up in the Canvas gradebook right away, don't panic. It's probably going to show up eventually. If after a couple days it doesn't show up, then that's when you start panicking and you email me. Because in that case, that means that there's something on my end. I have to basically like force it to resync. Another thing is that Pearson and my math lab like to update sporadically and without warning. And when it does that, sometimes it fiddles with settings that I have, and then things will not work the way you want them to. So if you notice that something doesn't seem to be working correctly, let me know, because sometimes my settings just get scrambled from updates. And then the other thing, go back actually to homework here. You can go through your grade book to access assignments, and I'm not going to click on grade books. It's going to show everybody's names and information. But if you go into look at that grade book, you will see your assignments listed in there. So you could usually click on them and go to the assignment once. If you try to do it again, it'll usually lock you out. So always, if you're trying to get into assignments and you don't want to get locked out, go in through the modules. These links should always work. Occasionally they don't, but they should always work. And at the worst case scenario, this My Math Lab all assignments, that one should always work. And then one other thing, so just to go over about assignments. So when you look at an assignment, you should have infinite attempts at every problem. Okay, we're going to find something a little easier for us to do here. So like this one here, write the product of this. Okay, I'm going to make up stuff. So you can keep answering things. As you see, it keeps telling me I'm wrong, and that keeps trying to give me little hints of what I did. And after 3 times, it's not letting me do it anymore. It also is telling me what the correct answer should have been. So I answered 9, but it should have been S cubed. So you actually go down here. So there is Skill Builder you can click on, and it'll kind of help you work your way through it. It's also hit similar question, and it gives you another version. So Skill Builder is just a kind of a way to walk you through how to do these problems. So it's going to have you answer stuff again. This is not actually homework. This is just trying to help you build the skills you need to go back to that homework, this homework here. You also have Help Me Solve This, which is another little walkthrough where you answer questions. Once again, once you go through all this, you still have to go back to the actual question and enter in an answer. You have View an Example, which will give you examples, and then there's Get More Help. So there's sometimes a few other things in here. Usually there's like a video and a textbook. This will take you right to the textbook. And then you have a little video if you need to go through it. But also there's always Ask My Instructor. So if you hit that, we see here it's got the section and the question. So it tells me exactly what question you were working on. It actually gives me sends me right to that particular question. If you need to, you can type in there what the issue is. Sometimes what it is that you put in the same answer as it says is the answer and it rejected it. So if that's the problem, you just tell me, hey, I had the same answer as the question and it just said I was wrong. That way I can go back and quickly go fix what the issue is. Like I said, just a little bit about what the problem is will make it go a lot quicker, because otherwise then I'm answering things and making guesses about what it is you had a question about. But once you send that to me, what it does is it provides me a link that goes right back to this problem. That being said, if you send me the problem and then you make attempts at it again, and you end up getting yourself a new problem, it's going to give me that old problem. So just so you know that if that happens and then I answer you, I'll probably be answering about the old problem that you were looking at. All right. So I believe that actually covers everything that we had for this course. So hopefully things will work out for this and this will be a good semester. Like I said, it's just if you have any problems, something doesn't seem to be working the way you think it should or the way I said it should have been working, always send me an email. I have people like don't want to tell me that things went wrong, but I don't know they went wrong until you guys tell me. And as soon as I know, then I can try to go in and fix it as quickly as possible. If your grades aren't syncing in the grade book, that's another thing just to let me know about. But like I said, don't panic right away. Just give it a day or two to see if it actually finally syncs on its own. like I said, the grade sync for Pearson is just kind of a pain. But hope you have a good semester, and maybe I'll actually meet some of you face to face at some point. And I guess that's it. Bye.